Hi everyone, Derek Cutler here to talk about content filtering. It seems that the pandemic has only strengthened the divide between what our kids are doing in their digital lives and what us parents know they are doing. It leads us to a question that I get multiple times a year. Should I filter the internet at my house? So the argument for yes is that the internet is way too dangerous. There are too many things on the web that my kids are not ready to see. Another argument is that it's too distracting. How can we expect our kids to stay productive if the internet is as wide open as it is? And at school, we definitely take this approach for things such as pornography and gambling. The no side might say that filter the internet is way too annoying. When we put a filter on, oftentimes it keeps things that we want to see from getting to us. Another thing is that it teaches us nothing about how to appropriately use the internet. So when the kids are out of the home or out of the school, they have access to this internet that they never had before, and there's no parents around to help them through what they see and what they come across. For me, it's a balancing act. I really do think it's important for my kids to learn the skills to navigate through the internet, but I also think there are just some things that are not age appropriate for my kids to come across. So, what I do is I've used the modem, some settings on the modem itself, and I've used something called OpenDNS to do some content filtering at the home. If you have a TELUS modem, you can download the My Wi-Fi TELUS app, and you can create family profiles for members in your family. Now, you're pretty limited with the TELUS modems on this app because all you can do is pause the Wi-Fi for those devices. But anytime you can show your kids that you're monitoring what they're seeing or what they're doing, it can be pretty powerful. Shaw has a much more progressive app in this sense. It's called Shaw Blue Curve Home, also available in the app or the Play Store for people that have a Shaw modem. You can create those same family profiles, but you can also set bedtime schedules where you pause the Wi-Fi for certain users at nighttime and turn it back on at a certain time in the morning. You can also set parental controls for content filtering and things like that through the Shaw modem. But probably the best solution that you can do on any modem that you have is something called OpenDNS. And this is what I use at home. I use the consumer model, which is free, and then I use the OpenDNS home option. With this, I signed up for an account and then set up my home router. And OpenDNS has all sorts of instructions for all sorts of different modems for how to do this. But once you do this, you get a chance to filter the web content that your kids are seeing, and you can completely filter out certain categories like pornography, sexuality, VPNs, and I'll talk about those a little bit later. And you could also just do very specific sites. So if there are specific sites they're going to that you don't want them to go to, you can block them. But also with this, you can whitelist things. So if things are not getting through that you want to get through, because they're being put into one of these categories unfairly, then you can actually whitelist and let them through. These lists are maintained by Cisco, who owns OpenDNS. So you don't have to worry about staying on top of these things because they constantly update these categories. Another thing that you should really pay attention to, though, is no matter what you do for content filtering, if you've got OpenDNS set up and you've got some monitoring happening with those apps on the modems that I talked to you about, there are still ways around it. There is a very high number, definitely the majority of the users in our senior school and a number of users in our junior school have VPNs. Even if we can't download, even if you have settings so that the kids can't download software on the computer, VPNs now exist as Chrome extensions where you don't even need the admin password to your computer to have a VPN. They are pervasive throughout our student computers. And they're essentially tools that help students try to navigate through content filtering. There's lots of really positive uses for VPNs, but for the most part, people are using them to try and bypass content filtering. So please know that these exist. At the school, we actively block these, but it's a cat and mouse game. As new VPNs come about, there's always a little bit of a delay before our firewall catches them and blocks them. Okay, and of course, there's data plans. Now with 5G, the internet based on data plans with cell phones is so fast that many people are not even going to use Wi-Fi anymore, and instead they're just going to have unlimited data plans through their cell phones and use 5G for everything that they do. Okay, so that's our future, and we don't have the same type of content filtering through these data plans at schools and at other places in the community, because these data plans are owned by parents. So it's really important that even if we are doing really strict content filtering at the school and you are doing content filtering at home, we have to act like there is none. So there's no substitute for having an open conversation with your kids about what they're doing online. I hope this helps, and we'll see you next week.